Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishamahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So as we saw, the third step for meditation was bringing Ishvara in your life to heal yourself. And healing means you, without denying what happened, you bring a much larger landscape within which the larger order. And within the larger order, you see, the possibilities of why that person did what they did. What were their constraints? What were their vulnerabilities? The possibilities that you took it in a very personal way. It was not perhaps meant to be like that. As you open the possibilities, right, what happens is the pain and the whole concentrated interpretation that you gave begins to diffuse. And so you're not fighting. You're not saying, I shouldn't feel like this. I should not. That creates a pressure. But when you increase your landscape and increase the possibilities, then naturally your mind loses that concentrated feeling. So that's a very nice way to dissolve tension, right? So that's what we saw. And sometimes what I liked in Surya's meditation was, sometimes even if you do all of that, right? Sometimes the intensity of that pain, like I was telling you about that man from Orissa, is so much that you can't totally overnight change how you feel. But even then you relax and you say, yeah, that's also part of the order. That my cognitive life and my emotional life, they are not always exactly moving together. There is some time lag between the corrections that I make and how I feel. And I have to let that feeling be without resisting and not put pressure that I've done this cognitive correction, why is the feeling not changing, right? That is the order. Even that you have to relax, right? So this is how we begin to flow with life rather than resist things. Now I will come to the last part of meditation, which has a different name. It is called nididhyasana. So meditation is dhyana. In Sanskrit, dhyana, and the translation of dhyana is meditation. And then there is another word called nididhyasana. In the English translation of nididhyasana is contemplation. So it's not just a semantic, there is a huge difference. So today I will just little bit explain, little more technicalities. I have to do little technical stuff, which makes me all feel good. And otherwise I think she only talks about heart, where is Vedanta here? So I have to show little. Okay, so now what is the difference between meditation and contemplation? There is a huge fundamental difference, right? So meditation is called action, mental action. It's manasa vyapara. It's action, but it's not like doing something with your hand or with your speech. It's all mental activity. contemplation is not considered mental action. What meditation is what is called, it is part of pramana vyavahara. What is pramana vyavahara? Pramana vyavahara it is engaging with Vedanta as a means of knowledge. Which is capable of directly giving you the knowledge. So, why this technicality is important? You need to know why this technicality is important. Because that technicality is difference, it actually answers the question, what is the difference between action and knowledge? What is the scope of action and what is the scope of knowledge? And that your mind has to be totally clear, because otherwise what happens is, if you don't see the difference between the two, the mind gets confused. Right? So action in Sanskrit, how do you define action? How? The action is Purusha Tantra.
You do something, something is coming out.
Okay. So what it means is, any action is what we say, Tantra means centered on Purusha, on an individual. Centered on an individual. The most important thing here is choice. So that means choice. So what it means is, when a situation arises, right, you have a choice. You have a choice of doing one thing, doing something else, not doing anything. These are all the choices which are possible for you. This is called faculty of choice. This is free will, right? Free will doesn't mean that you can choose to do anything. That today I decide to fly, next day I want to be a king, and it's not like you can do what you want. But when a situation presents itself in front of you, you have a choice of how to respond to it. So that, depending upon that faculty of choice, right, as I told you, there is something dharma to guide that faculty of choice, and then based on the kind of choices you make, even meditation is a choice. What it means is, I can tell you every day it is good to meditate, but you can choose not to meditate. Do you understand? Every morning you can put an alarm, but when the 6 o'clock rings, you say, today I'm tired, and you can do that, right? So I cannot force you and say, okay, now sit and meditate, right? Even when you are sitting in the class and you can choose to sing a song, right? And not choose to listen to what the person who is guiding the meditation is saying. So that means the choices are always available to us. And among multiple choices, you collapse one choice, right? And depending upon the kind of choices you collapse, you get result for it. So, what is the outcome of meditation? Meditation is a choice that you make. You don't have to meditate, but suppose you see the value in it and you use your free will to meditate every day or whatever, but for 10 minutes, half an hour, or once a week, or whatever your practice is, you can choose to meditate. And for this action that you perform and the choice that you make, there has to be a result. This is called cause and effect relationship. You create causes in form of your actions and you receive the result. Okay? So what are the benefits of meditation? What do you think as of now? What do you think meditation will do for you?
Calm the mind.
Focus on that.
Calm the mind.
See the larger perspective.
Good. See the larger perspective.
Focus.
Good. Larger perspective. Focus.
Getting a pure mind.
Sorry?
Getting a pure mind.
Excellent. Purer mind, which is free from all the loads. Good. Purer mind.
Getting a distance to all what happens.
Okay. Certain cognitive distance between your life story and you. Good. Okay. So these are all the benefits, right? But please understand, these are the benefits of getting a calmer mind, getting a certain cognitive distance with reference to what all happened in your life and you, and to see the fact that, hey, you are not like one with what all happened to you. So all this is all referring to purification of mind.
So what Surya just did with us is a meditation.
Sorry?
Like what the session we just had.
Yes, all these different things, right? So that we did the first calming and becoming more aware, then chanting, which gave you more focus and made you more aware of how your thinking moves, then bringing the presence of Ishvara in your life and seeing the events which have touched you in a different light with a much larger perspective without denying what happened. So all this is, what will it do? It will purify the mind. But what does Vedanta talk about? Purification of mind is only a means. The end is not purification of mind. What is the end? Oneness. You need to know the truth of yourself as something which is not as good as the mind, which is much bigger than the mind. So what it means is, no matter how much meditation you do, the scope of meditation is only purification of mind. If you think that by meditating you will get to know your true nature, not possible. Do you understand? You don't, by meditating and becoming quiet, you don't come to know everything is one. You don't. Do you understand? So you need to distinguish between what meditation can do. So now, then, what is knowledge? Contemplation. Knowledge is called in Sanskrit Vastu Tantra. Vastu Tantra means, look at this, it's not subject to your choice. Look at the difference. Suppose you see the sunrise and sunset and you believe that the sun is actually rising and sun is actually setting. But suppose I tell you that actually the sun is stationary. It doesn't rise and it doesn't set. It is the earth which moves, and because the earth moves, there is a vision of sunset and sunrise. In this process, what have I done? Have you to do something to make sun not rise or to rise? You didn't do anything. What did you do?
Listen to you.
Huh?
Listen to you.
All that you did is to listen to me. And by listening to me, what did you do? You removed your ignorance. You removed your ignorance because the perception provided a different data. And that was so real for you that it seemed like reality to you. But I showed you that the reality is not exactly as your eyes report. The reality is little different from what your eyes report. So what I showed you is what is the reality, which is that the sun is stationary. But then you had another question. If sun is stationary, how come I see it as rising and setting? Then I explain to you by saying, yes, that vision is right because it's the earth which is moving. Do you understand? So I showed you the reality to be different from your perception, but I also explained why you have this perception. Then the process of knowledge is complete. Did you use your free will to make the sun do anything differently?
No.
You didn't use your free will at all. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is, in this process, do you understand? Only listen to what the reality is and remove your misconceptions. This is a different process than this. Do you see the difference? The one is you're using the free will, you're using your faculty of choice, and you're doing something, and for that doing, you get a result. In other case, you're not doing anything. You're exposing yourself to that means of knowledge which makes you see the realities more clearly. And the realities are what they are. They don't depend upon what you see or what you don't see. They exist independently of what you see or what you don't see. So what I'm doing is making you remove your wrong conclusions by making you see what the truth is. So what is the process of knowledge and how is it different? Here it is Purusha Tantra. You're using a free will, and that free will, depending upon the choices that you are making, you get a result. The process of knowing is you expose yourself to pramana. Yourself to means of knowledge. And when you expose yourself to the means of knowledge, the job that it does is it removes misconceptions, it removes ignorance, and it makes you see the reality. It removes ignorance. And it makes you see the reality. This difference between action and knowledge is extremely important. Why? Because logically, right, no action can give you limitlessness. Why no action can give you limitlessness? Because every action being limited, the result can't be limitless. Do you understand? Action will only give you punya papa. Action will only give you, if a good action will give you good result, that's all. But good result will only, it will not make you see the fact that I'm not an individual.
But why do you say that the thing on the left is a mental action and the right is not?
Yeah.
Why is the
Yeah.
thing on the right
Because
not a mental action?
It is, first you need to understand the difference between action and knowledge. That is the first step. Now what we have to do is, action, as I told you, is based on your choice. And as you take those steps that we showed you, what is the result that it gives you? Calmness of the mind. It doesn't give you limitlessness. Please understand. It gives you calmness of the mind. It gives your mind a focus. It makes your mind a little bit more able to comprehend the totality of forms. It doesn't make you understand I'm limitless. That is not the scope of meditation. Meditation is for purification. Antakarana Shuddhi. Contemplation is different. Contemplation is part of means of knowledge. So what it means is that there is a reality. So what is a relationship? A purified mind is able to capture the reality. But reality, to capture the reality, there is a completely different process. What is the process for knowing anything? Look at this. Swamiji used to use incredible examples to say that any knowledge, forget Vedanta, any knowledge you acquire by using an appropriate means of knowledge. What it means, first understand very simply. In order to see the form, what do you need? Eyes. It's irreplaceable. It's not subject to choice. I cannot tell you, today you give eyes some rest, you use your ears to see the form. It's irreplaceable. Action is subject to choice. Today I want to go out, today I want to rest. You can do that. But you cannot say, today I want to give my eyes rest, so I will use my ears to see the form. It's not possible. If you want to see the form, you need the eyes. That's why eyes is called means of knowledge. It's irreplaceable. It is not subject to choice. If you want to hear, you cannot say, I want to use my tongue to hear. It is choiceless. So any knowledge takes place not because of action. Knowledge takes place when you expose your mind to an appropriate means of knowledge. There are two different lines. So that means, look at this, any knowledge, whether the earth is flat or round, whether the sun is rising or it is not rising, whether the forms are really tangibly there or they are just atoms and particles, all this does not fall in action. Because these are realities. They are realities, they are not dependent upon choices that you make. They are independent. And if you want to know those realities which are there, which are not easily perceivable, those realities are available to you, but only through an appropriate means of knowledge. So what it means is, there is already a fact that there is a quantum level where no object is as tangible as it seems. This is a fact. It has got nothing to do with the choices you make, and it has got nothing to do with whether you believe it or not. That reality is independent of what you think or what you believe in.
So
just 1 minute. So that means, but this reality is not perceivable. Do you understand? But because it is not perceivable, it doesn't mean it is not knowable. It is knowable, but for knowing it, you have to employ an appropriate means of knowledge. There is no other way. This is extremely important. This is something that you need to understand, which is the difference between knowledge, the scope of knowledge, and scope of action. What action can do, what knowledge can do. Action is based on free will, it can give you result. Knowledge removes ignorance and it makes you see what is. Two different tracks. What Vedanta says, just I'll take the answer with it. What it means is, Vedanta requires both. Why? Because there is one reality which is a fact, that Atma is Brahman. It has got nothing to do with what you think. This is the truth about Atma. So that means I need to show you through the teaching of Vedanta how your Atma is limitless. This is not, what are you using? Knowledge part or action part? Excellent. You're using your mental faculty to understand what I'm saying. You're not doing anything. But suppose you listen to me, but your mind is overly crowded with hundreds of different ideas, and I tell you that this reality will be more possible for you to understand when you clean up the mind.
Yeah, that was my question. Before you need to calm down your, then you get the knowledge.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that is another process. This is called Antakarana Shuddhi. Before your mind reaches this subtle truth, you need to do all these other things which I talked about. You need to purify the mind. Because that same mind has to be used to understand this bigger reality. If that mind is crowded, if that mind is confused, if that mind has not enough discrimination, then that mind, even when it listens to the words, it will mess up. Or it will project. Or it will imagine. So that means whole of Vedanta has two processes. One is called, this knowledge part is called Brahma Vidya. And action part is called Yoga Shastra. This is to do with understanding the fact where I don't have to do anything, that I am the whole. But this part we tend to overlook, but it is extremely important because, as Marianne says, unless this clarity exists, the mind is not able to reach this. We tend to overemphasize this and we tend to less emphasize this. So therefore, just 1 minute. So what it then means is contemplation, nididhyasana, doesn't belong to action. It belongs to means of knowledge. So if I want to know my limitlessness, I don't need to follow dharma and all. Following dharma will only give me punya. I need to follow dharma, but following dharma will not take me directly to limitlessness. Taking care of my emotions will not directly take me to limitlessness. It will only make my mind pure. You need to know what will do what. So that means if you want to know the truth, you need to listen to the words of Vedanta, which is showing you right now how you are limitless. So that process is different. That is, there are three processes. One is Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. This is the process which is not action, this is knowledge. What it will do is remove ignorance, which will enable you to see your true nature. But for this to work, you need this purification. A mind which is confused, a mind which is crowded, a mind which is under the weight of emotions and personal stories which are very deep and occupying you, is not able to reach this truth. So, Nididhyasana belongs to this process, not here. This is the distinction between meditation and Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is after your mind is purified and it is sufficiently healed, you use that mind to bring to yourself all the knowledge that you have learned and you internalize it. That is nididhyasana. And let it go deeply. So this is the fundamental. Nididhyasana makes you see you're limitless. Meditation purifies the mind. Huge distinction. Right? They seem like the same thing because you're using the mind. But one is different, the other is different. Okay, question, Samba.
You answered my question.
I answered.
This is always
Yeah.
Just the question whether this thought is right. The thought is removing ignorance is a result, but it is not the result of my action. Is this right?
Excellent. Good. So, removing ignorance is a result of exposing yourself to the means of knowledge, which allows you not to have misconceptions but to see the reality. So, the result of pramana engagement is removal of ignorance. The result of action is punya papa. This distinction is extremely critical in Vedanta. If you go to advanced text, it becomes very, like when you study Brahma Sutra, when you study Mandukya Upanishad, all these are critical differences.
I'm still not getting it. Everything on the right side of the board
Yeah.
is connected to an action. Wielding a means of knowledge is an action. Coming to a retreat
Okay.
is an action and a choice. I
Okay.
decided to come.
Good.
Everybody decided. I'm not understanding the
means-
distinction.
So, 1 minute. So that means till the time that you sit in the class, it's your choice. But once I start talking about a certain reality, it's not, you don't create those realities and you have no choice with reference to those realities. You have to understand what is as it is.
But that understanding is again a mental action.
It's
To
not an
understand or not to
It's-
understand is not a mental action. I'm not
No.
getting the
It
distinction.
is not considered. Action gives result, and the result is, see, look at this. That this action it's based on choice. When you make a choice, depending upon the kind of choice it is, it will give an appropriate result. As I told you, right? In understanding, the earth is a globe and not flat. It has got nothing to do with your choices. Earth is already a globe.
But if
But
I
your
understand or misunderstand what you said, there will be a result. Some kind of result.
So, what it means is that in order, there is already a reality out there. It is not subject to your choice. That reality doesn't depend upon what you choose or what you don't choose. It is there independently. Then, if I show you this reality, what you are engaging is not in making a choice. Oh, should I make the earth round or should I make it? This is not what you are doing. You are trying to understand how this earth is globe. And even though your perception reports flat earth, in that process, this is called engagement with means of knowledge. In that process, what you are saying is your mind has to reach what I'm saying. In that process, you can make a mistake, you can have an error, because your mind is not reaching what I'm trying to say. Or you can partially understand it, or you can totally misunderstand it, or you can fully understand it. That is called process of knowing. Process of knowing is the ability of the mind to capture the reality without adding your own interpretations. So that means your mind has to reach the reality. It is not about you choosing to do something. The choice is till you sit here in the class. After that, the exercise, if I'm teaching you Vedanta and showing you how you are limitless, your mind has to reach those worlds. So a teacher of Vedanta has to do both. It has to, the teacher has to teach you what is the reality, and the teacher also has to teach you how to prepare the mind so that it doesn't create erroneous pictures. It doesn't create partial reality, that it is able to capture it fully. So this is called process of knowing. You only remove ignorance. And the purpose of knowledge is your mind creates the realities which are conveyed. And this is in any, please don't think it's only Vedanta. We go to school, right? The teacher teaches mathematics, teaches physics. At the end, there is an exam. And the teacher asks a little tricky question. And depending upon how you answer, the teacher knows how much you have understood. Somebody gets A, somebody gets A minus, somebody gets B, somebody gets B plus, somebody gets C, somebody fails. What does it mean? The teacher taught you certain facts. How much your mind was able to capture those facts. So that means when it is to do with understanding facts, your free will of what? You can't choose the realities. Realities exist independent of what you think.
So I'm trying my own explanation, maybe that may or may not be helpful. So on the left side, the focus is on me and on how I construct my own reality.
Or what I choose to do.
Yeah, what I, there's like what we did in this meditation, there are certain things and then I make my story. So on the left side, I proactively engage in my own process of building a story.
Which is a healthier story.
Which is a good thing to do. So basically, I observe myself.
But you still remain an individual. But
Yes.
what you're doing is, the mind which had unhealthy stories, you're replacing it with healthy patterns.
So the object of observation on the left side is my process of creating stories. That's what I look at.
But it's not only about creating stories, it's also about acting.
And then how I create a story and then it makes me then hate this person or decide that my life is horrible.
You make choices based on, right?
So what I observe on the left side is my own process and what it does.
Yes, and this...
On what I do on the right side is, my focus is different, which is, in German I would say erkennen, or realize there is a reality, and then I pull away the wheel and I see it.
Good.
And it's not on my own process of how do I create something, is that?
Excellent. It's not about your process of creating something. There is something which is independent.
And
that's a truth.
The truth reveals itself, like pulling away a wheel, and so I observe different things.
Excellent. Good. Do you understand these two processes?
Yes.
Somebody else had some. Yeah, sorry.
I have the thought the other way around. With your example with the sun, is it right to think? So if you have this clear mind and you got the knowledge by the process on the right side, with this clear mind, I have the possibility even to prove if it's true. Is it right or not? I can, if you told me the sun is fixed, it doesn't move, I can believe you or not. If I got this knowledge with a clear mind, I have the ability to prove it or not. If I don't have a clear mind, I come to another result. Perhaps to the result, I can't believe you. This is a process I'm not really ready. But I can prove myself if I'm really ready, if my mind is ready, if I can do this in proving circles, and this shows me, and then it feels, yes, it's logical, and so it's a...
I see what
do you know?
I get it. what she's saying is something very interesting. What she's saying is, initially, when I talk about Vedanta, it seems like I'm creating concepts in your mind and I'm telling you things, and then you are wondering whether what she's saying is right or she's giving me some blah blah from Vedas and God knows what she's talking about. So that could be a relationship. But what Serena is saying is, as you engage with those words and you begin to see, they become what these words are showing is almost self-evident. You don't have to struggle with it. So it's like when suppose Christina is totally focused only on right. And what am I doing? I'm not producing some concepts. Tree is already there. The sky is already there. The birds are already there. The road is already there. Initially, when she only sees the rhyme, she says, what is she talking about? Where are all these trees? And do I believe in her or I don't believe in her? Because her vision is limited and restricted, but I'm not creating anything new. I'm just showing what is, but what is the process? I'm not creating realities. What I have to do is to take her from her vision of seeing only the river to slowly expand her vision till her mind is able to capture the whole thing. Did she use her free will to say there should be a tree or there should not be a tree? It's not dependent on what she wants. It is already there. Realities exist. Whether you believe in them or you don't believe in them is irrelevant. Whether you see them or you don't see them doesn't make any difference to the reality. But as your mind begins to see it, it becomes almost, it can't be anything else. Initially, when it doesn't see it, is it there or not? Is she taking me for a ride or not? Right? Can I trust this person or not? Do you understand? But as you engage with it, then what happens is, it can't be any other way. This is how it is, and it's simple. It's not even complex. You don't even have to stretch anything. This is how things are. And in those things as they are, there is no place for human will. They are already like that. Otto.
The process that leads to vedanta starts with listening, manana. Can you explain a bit more
Yes,
about it?
I will explain. Good. So the process of knowing is a little bit different from process of purifying. Purifying requires your initiatives. It requires your effort, and you can do things differently. All these are your choices.
So what we did with Surya is exactly that.
So up to now, this is what I was saying. Up to now, what we did is meditation part. What I'm going to introduce now is contemplation part. Do you understand? Which is breathing. But what Otto is saying is, let me little bit explain the process of knowing. Right? The process of knowing is a little bit different. So, first it starts with something more fundamental. And fundamental is, if for knowing forms I need eyes, if for knowing sounds I need ears, if for knowing taste I need tongue, if for knowing the sun, whether it is stationary or it is rising or it is setting, I need my logical thinking and observation. What kind of means of knowledge I need to know I'm limitless?
Mind.
What is the means of knowledge? You need, for everything that you want to know, you need an appropriate means of knowledge. So what is the pramana? Here, the words of the Veda are pramana. They take you from where you are using certain methodologies which are sophisticated. They show you who you are. What is the means of knowledge? We call it Shabda Pramana. What is Shabda Pramana? The words of the Vedas. And what is the words of Vedas? They don't tell you that you follow me and you will become limitless. It says you are Brahman right now. Right now. And let me show you how it is so. So, what is the first thing you have to do? Shravanam. What is Shravanam? You listen to the words of the Vedas because they have a vision about you which is very different from what you think you are. That is called Shravanam. Then, because you have been living like an individual and Vedanta is telling you you are limitless, your mind is bound to have doubts. It is not possible that you don't have doubts. So, raising those doubts and answering those doubts is called manana. This is part of methodology. Then, at one point, what happens is all your cognitive doubts, over a period of time, you have less and less doubts. But at the same time, this whole experience of being an individual is so deeply embedded in us. Even if your mind cognitively kind of understands, right, that it's not totally deeply rooted and it's not totally percolating your whole existence. So there is a third thing, which is nididhyasana. What is nididhyasana? Stay with this knowledge and think about it, contemplate on it. Till it is almost a non-effort, right? Non-effort means every day you don't have to say, oh my God, the earth seems flat now, how do I know that it is round? It's not a struggle anymore. The perception, you don't have to change, but the perception doesn't veil the reality for you. The reality is clearly known. So that is that whole process of what we call nididhyasana. Nothing in the world, no event, no condition can make you doubt, oh God, am I limitless or not? This is how it is. Even if I don't want to be, I am limitless. That is knowledge. Even if my mind creates hundreds of I can't stop the reality, which is I am the whole. This is the result of contemplation. So, pramana pravritti is nothing to do with your own efforts of individually becoming prepared, becoming calmer. Pramana pravritti is engaging with a knowledge which is showing you the truth and engaging with that knowledge and capturing it fully and completely without adding your own imagination. So that means the minute you start adding your own will, what will you do to the knowledge? You will color it. In fact, here the utmost attention is given to make sure I'm not adding my stories. That my mind is totally in sync with what Vedas are showing me. It is not imagining something else. It is not creating something else. It's not superimposing something else.
Do these three things, are they supposedly coming in a linear progression, or is it more kind of simultaneously you're doing everything pretty much at the same time?
Good. So, one thing is, definitely Shravanam comes first, because without listening to Veda, you can't have a doubt. And without a doubt, and without listening to Veda, you can't do contemplation. So therefore, Shravanam is actually considered the main means of knowledge, because that is the starting point. So, but Shravanam alone is not enough, because the reality that Vedas are showing about you is so different from what you think that you are bound to have doubts. So, doubts will arise. It may arise on the very first day, or it may, first day you're just like zapped and no doubt comes to your mind. It can come after 3 years, it can come after 5 years, doubts can come at any time, but it has to follow listening to Shastra. And contemplation also has to follow Shravanam. But from the very first day you can start all three. But generally what happens is, first is Shravanam and Mananam, and over a period of time, when there is a little bit more root to this knowledge, then you begin to contemplate on the realities. But there is no linearity that first you listen for first 3 years, then you raise doubts, then you contemplate. It's not linear, it can start. And in fact, each one helps the other. As you remove doubts, your Shravanam will become better. And because now you'll be able to, as you eliminated certain things, you'll be able to capture a little bit better. This is why the teacher any thinking person is bound to have questions. But even whether you want to ask or not is not a problem. It's not, please don't create pressure, I have to ask questions. That's not the point. The point is, whoever is asking questions, listen to them. Because the mind, if it is not prepared, when somebody is asking question, it will create two things. One is, oh God, this person is again asking questions. Wasting time. No. Questions are part of this tradition. The second, your mind will create a pressure. Oh, everybody is asking the question. I also have to ask a question. Where do you get this from? It's all your mental stories.
So we call it desperate class participation.
Everything becomes pressure. And it's all, this is where mental purification is so important. When I'm talking and showing you, you are Brahman, your mind is, am I talking about where is what is being shown and where are you operating from? Or why is this person disturbing me? Or why is this person? That is irrelevant. So that means the power of our minds to create its stories and keep on being within your own little reality and complexes is so huge that you can't give it up and give yourself to this knowledge and let the Shastra show you how right now you are the whole.
But imagine what kind of process it is to sit in the class and to concentrate, to see the truth and to forget everything, your burden you are carrying. Imagine what it means for a human being.
And really, Sita Devi, I see this as a teacher. When the person has dropped everything and is with me. I know it.
It's free from that and it's fully engaged in the truth.
Fully engaged, eyes begin to shine. I can see it.
But this is a gift from Ishvara, isn't it?
This is a gift.
Yeah. It's not a free will.
Otherwise, everybody will say, yeah, I want the journalist now to happen. Right? You see, this is very important. Is it in your hand or is it in the hands of the methodology and the way the teacher is using the words to make you see very patiently, step after step, and you are like, in fact, there is no will. I want to know. In fact, you let your mind be guided by the words of the teacher, right? Without interfering in whatever, as much as possible. And even if it's happened, it's okay. But as much as possible, you are guided and you see what the words are revealing. That is the listening, right? Now, can I add one more thing to answer your question? Because this is a very good question. I will say during the class, I am asking you a question now. During the class, when Nima is unfolding one Upanishad or Gita, right? What are the parts which are happening in this process of knowing? Is it listening, mananam, nididhyasanam, in what sequence? What is happening? What is happening?
At first it's listening,
Yes.
but it's also contemplating. It's both,
Right.
it's all together.
See, during the class, what is happening? There are some moments where she will show you something about you, right? About yourself, using the words of one Upanishad, the Gita, and so on, and comment, and make you see. But then she will also raise herself some doubts that you will have, or invite the people to ask questions. So Mananam is very much ingrained even during a class. Now look at this. Are there not some moments when you are in the class where you are seeing? You have some insights and you have like tick, 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 and it opens, right? Is it happening or not?
Yeah.
This is Nididhyasana. So to some extent you can say that even during the class itself, all these three elements of the process of knowing are right. It's amazing. And that is the skill of the teacher. Right. And you're available. That's all. You don't have to do anything. You let yourself go and be accompanied and guided until you see. It's amazing. It's just a beauty.
It's a wonder that our mind is able to do this, and this is the question behind it.
This is why you need to
What is
nurture
our
your
mind that it is
You
able to
need
do
to
this?
take care of your mind because the mind is going to reach what Shastra is showing you. That's why you can't start by saying, I'm not the mind, I'm not the body, and try to disconnect with that. Who will know this truth? You have to be present. And your mind has to become refined through this process of purification so that the words can reach you completely and fully. Right? So that means, look at this. 1 hour ago, I was not even talking about this. 1 hour ago, I was talking about purification. Now I have switched. Now I've switched. This is, now you will see, the switch to contemplation. Switch to contemplation means now we assume that as a result of meditation, you have focus, all the things. You are calm. You have focus. You can see the little larger perspective. Your mind is not caught in its own little narratives which are all over the place and distorted. Right? There is a certain cognitive distance. You're not totally invested in your personal narrative about your life.
Taking a lot for granted.
But hopefully, now that mind is a relatively clear mind. That mind, when the teacher talks about you are the whole, It doesn't have interfering processes. It's able to capture. That mind is able to receive the truth that is already who you are. I'm not talking about some Brahman, I'm talking about you are right now. So that means this helps this. So having gained a clearer mind, and suppose you have listened to Shastra, with that clear mind you contemplate. You contemplate because now here there is a jump. Here who is meditating? Individual is meditating. An individual is purifying the mind. This Shastra will make you jump from being an individual to being the purest Brahman. Here it's a quantum jump. Here it is no action can make you make this quantum jump. Because the action is performed by an individual. What you have to understand is an actionless Brahman. Consciousness doesn't perform any action. It is limitless. It is Sat and it is Chit. That is the real meaning of I am. That consciousness doesn't have any boundaries. Body has a boundary. Mind has a boundary. The presence in whose presence you come to know changing conditions of your body, changing conditions of your mind. That presence is already there, unaffected by conditions of the body, unaffected by conditions of the mind. They are all transitory. They all come and go. The presence, as I showed you, doesn't have, there is no imprint which is left on the presence. The conditions of the body don't leave any permanent imprint on Sat and Chit. The conditions of the mind do not leave any imprint on Sat and Chit. Sat and Chit is always pure. It is always uninvolved. Actions take place at the level of body and mind. Itself is the presence which illumines everything and is free from everything. Now we have moved from meditation to contemplation, my true nature. So what it means is, after sufficiently cleaning yourself, we need to move to this next step of contemplation. So maybe after lunch, what we will do is, we will do one session on how does contemplation look like. Yeah, so you get glimpses of different stages of meditation. Is it clear? Yeah. So, just to end, what I wanted to show you is, using a simple imagery, I want to show you what is the relationship between purification of mind and the reality. So, a simple example is given in the Shastra. What it says is, there is this sun, right? The sun illumines everything. The sun doesn't get, illumines garbage bag, illumines the beautiful lake, illumines everything. Does it get affected by anything that it illumines? No. It is already free. You don't need to purify the sun. Sun doesn't get affected. That is the truth. But suppose you want to understand the sun and you have vessels with water and you have to see the reflection of the sun. In one vessel, there is contaminated muddy water. In the other vessel, there is wavering water. And in the third vessel, there is clean water. Which vessel will allow you to see the sun? So, the vessel is your mind. The sun is Brahman, is the reality, always untouched, always pure, always you. But what will allow you to recognize it is your mind. You need that purity to capture it fully and totally. But the sun's condition has got nothing to do with purity or impurity of any vessel. Sun will only illumine all three vessels equally.
So then meditation will take care of my vessel.
Super. Absolutely. Very good. Perfect. Absolutely. In this metaphor, absolutely. Meditation will take care of, will make your vessel clear.
Okay, it's
Clear and placid.
And
clear.
And tranquil.
Okay, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if there is
Non-agitated.
So meditation makes sure that I have a receptive vessel.
Exactly.
It's a possibility.
Okay.
That's
So
it.
I'm trying to, let's say.
absolutely. And this knowledge will show you the nature of the sun.
Okay, and contemplation is
Understanding the
understanding
sun.
the sun. But first I need
First you need clear,
Exactly.
clear
a
vessel.
functioning vessel.
Functioning clear vessel.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Got it.
Got it. Good. Nice to end the class when we feel, okay, we got it. Not with puzzle mind. What is she talking about? So it's good.
So far.
Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.